Alright, I want to talk about the E9 Pro because two major things have just happened, making this miner a lot better. So I'm going to start the video off by just quickly going through the basic info about this miner, but then we'll move on to what the two major issues have been with it, before finally talking about these new development that's kind of changed the game a bit. And I guess I'll also wrap the video up by comparing it to competing miners like the Jasminers, and talking a bit about my personal thoughts about it and if it's a good miner to buy for those of you who might be interested in it. So without further ado, let's get right into it. Now, I want to preface this video by saying that these news actually have me pretty excited. Well, at least one of them. And you guys also know that I tend to always be pretty optimistic about mining and crypto and stuff like that. So that all is probably going to shine through quite a bit in this video. And I know that some of you watching are more on the, pessimistic side and don't really like that. So I guess just a heads up for those of you. And also, as always, nothing in my videos is ever financial advice, alright? But in that vein of optimism, I wanted to do something special for you guys. So I have actually discussed with Coin Mining Central and they have agreed to give out a pretty substantial discount code just for you guys. The code is 𝗬𝗜𝗍 and it gives you $250 off any of the bigger Ethash miners. So the E9 Pro, which we're about to talk about, and also the Jasminer X16-Q and X16P. Now this discount code is only valid this week though, but if you're watching this video in the future, you can still get $125 off by using my regular discount code, which is just 𝗬. So if you want to support the channel, you can use those codes together with the links to the miners that I'll put down in the video description. If you do, that means I get a small commission on the sale at no extra cost to you. And if you've been watching the channel for a while, you know that I like to be very upfront and honest about those kinds of things because I think it's very important to be. Anyway, moving on. Let's talk about the E9 Pro. So it's an Ethash ASIC miner, meaning it can only mine the Ethash and ETC hash algorithm. It was marketed as an Ethereum Classic, Ethereum Proof of Work, and Ethereum Fair miner, but more on that later. The thing gets about 3.7 gigahash of hash rate while pulling 2,200 watts of power. At today's coin prices and network hash rates, it brings in roughly $10 of revenue per day on any of those three mentioned coins. And how much it costs to run, of course, depends on your electricity price, but it is profitable up to about 20 cents per kilowatt hour. And a while back, Coin Mining Central did send me one for testing. But for full disclosure, they did not specifically pay me to make this video about it. I didn't get to keep the miner after I finished my testing with it. I'm free to say whatever I want in this video. They don't get to review the video before I post it or anything like that. And what I will say as a result of that testing I did is that it actually outperformed its specs by quite a bit. I actually got an average poolside hash rate of 4 gigahash over the period that I had it, which is about 0.3 gigahash more than the advertised 3.7. And also, after using my, passive $9 cooling solution that I showcased in a previous video, I'll link that in the video description by the way, the E9 Pro actually pulled more roughly 2050 watts instead of the stated 2200. So if you get this thing set up just right, it can actually perform significantly better than stated in its specs. So that brings us to what is/was the problem with this miner, and it comes down to coin support. So the Ethash algorithm that the E9 Pro mines is used by a vast amount of different coins, I believe well over 30 coins at this point. On paper, that is a massive advantage over other miners that mine algorithms with just a few or sometimes just one single coin, as in that case, if let's say that one coin crashes in price or becomes unprofitable to mine, your miner is as good as trash. But having a massive amount of different coins to choose from obviously means that if one coin crashes, you can swap to mining a different one. But not only that, the more coins there are on a single algorithm, in theory, the more total money there is for miners of that algorithm to share. And that of course means that more miners for that algorithm coming online has less of an impact on profitability, since there is so much more money to go around anyway. For example, if there is $100 paid out every day to miners from coins on a specific algo, and there are 2 miners on that algo, well then each miner gets $50 each day. If then one more miner come online, now every miner just gets $33 a day. But if there's $100,000 paid out every day to miners from coins on a algo, and there are 2,000 miners on that algo, they still get $50 each per day. But if one more miner comes online on the network, then instead of reducing everyone's daily payout from $50 to $33, it only reduces it from $50 to $49.98 a day. So as you can see, the more money there is paid out to miners on a specific algorithm, the lesser of an impact new miners coming online has. The problem, however, was that when the E9 Pro first came out, it seemed it couldn't mine almost any of those 30 plus Ethash coins, and it somehow seemed to be locked to only work for Ethereum Classic, Ethereum Fair, and Ethereum Proof of Work. The second issue was that a great profitability bonus for Ethash miners is that they can usually dual mine a coin called Zilliqa. Mining this coin works in a very special way, where it is only able to be mined for a couple of minutes a few times each day, but the payouts are still very good. So you'd be mining whatever other coin you want, but then your miner would just automatically switch to mine Zill for a few minutes. You'd basically not lose out on any of the rewards for the main coin you were mining, as you're just hopping off it for such a tiny amount of time every day, but you'd gain those full extra rewards from mining Zill. The problem here was that, well, the E9 Pros just would not do that. No matter how much people tried, these things are just not able to dual mine Zilliqa, meaning you would miss out on all those extra, more or less, free profits. And of course, that is a massive downside for the E9 Pro when comparing it to other miners that can dual mine Zill, like the Jasminers and 𝗦𝗢𝗘𝗘 miners. So, what's changed? How is anything different now? Well, basically, it seems both of these disadvantages are kind of going away for the E9 Pro. And starting with the whole Zilliqa thing, well, unfortunately, what is good news for the E9 Pro is bad news for the rest of the mining world. And that is that Zilliqa apparently is going to ditch mining completely and switch to staking, just like Ethereum did. So while you can still dual mine Zill on other Ethash miners at the moment, you won't be able to anymore at some point this year. Meaning after that, the whole Zill thing is no longer an advantage for other miners, making the E9 Pro, I guess, better by default. Or maybe it just makes all the other miners worse. I guess that depends on how you look at it. So that does make the E9 Pro a bit better of a value proposition, as other miners now have one less advantage over it, but we'll discuss that more towards the end of the video. Next up is the whole business about not being able to mine other coins. Specifically, a coin people have been very vocal about the fact that it can't mine is OctaSpace, since that is one of the coins paying out a very significant amount to miners every day. So, being able to share in that reward would be a massive advantage for E9 Pro owners. Well, it turns out you actually can mine OctaSpace with the E9 Pro now, and thank you to 𝗔𝗠𝗏 for making me aware of this, because what we've discovered is that basically the E9 Pro can mine just about any Ethash coin, but only after they've matured to have a DAG size of at least 2.0008 gigabytes. I won't go into detail what that means on a technical level here, but basically the DAG file is a file that grows over time on Ethash coins. You might remember back during the Ethereum mining days where all of a sudden GPUs with 4 GB of VRAM no longer could mine the coin. It's kind of the same thing here, just the other way around, where the E9 Pro can't mine coins until the DAG size is over 2 GB of size. So what that means is you still won't be able to mine any brand new coins on the E9 Pro. So if a brand new coin comes out and starts paying miners like crazy, you won't be able to take part in those rewards until the coin has matured to at least a 2 GB plus DAG size. But on the flip side of this, it means that there will now be a constant influx of new coins that will be mineable with the E9 Pros, as most of those 30 plus Ethash coins we thought the E9 Pro couldn't mine are all newer coins that are slowly approaching that 2 GB DAG size. Meaning as we move forward, more and more coins will become mineable with this E9 Pro, which is obviously a massive deal, as we previously thought we were just locked into mining only those 3 coins forever. So with these news, how does the E9 Pro now stack up against the competition in terms of other Ethash miners? And I would say that the only other miners for this algorithm worth talking about are the latest Jasminers, specifically the X16-Q and X16-P. And even then, the X16-P is basically just like if you took 3 X16-Qs and put them together as one miner in terms of everything, you know, hash rate, power consumption, and price. So really we kind of just need to compare the E9 Pro to the Jasminer X16-Q in my opinion. So let's do exactly that. If we look on Coin Mining Central's website, we can see the E9 Pro is about $4,000 and the Jasminer is just under $3,700. And keep in mind, both of these prices are before you use the discount code 𝗬𝗜𝗍𝗏 to get $250 off. So they are very similar in terms of price. The difference is that the E9 Pro has basically twice the hash rate. Remember in my testing I got an average of 4 gigahash on the pool. But of course, the Jasminer is a lot more power efficient, getting about 3 megahash per watt of power, while the E9 Pro gets a little under 2 megahash per watt. The Jasminer still of course has the advantage of being able to mine brand new coins, and 𝗔𝗦𝗘𝗢𝗓 𝗔 for the few remaining months where we are still able to do that before they switch to proof of stake. But basically what it comes down to in the end is the age-old dilemma we always face when buying any mining equipment. Do we prioritize power efficiency or value for money? Or in other words, do we want more hash rate per watt of power or more hash rate per dollar spent when buying the miner? Because with the E9 Pro you basically get twice the hash rate for the same amount of money, and with the X16-Q you get half the hash rate, but the thing uses way less power when mining. So here's my hot take. I think the E9 Pro might actually be a better buy right now, and I'll explain why. But first of all, I think both of these miners are some of the best ones you can get right now, period. And which one you should get, well, if you want any of them, kind of just comes down to your personal preference, your circumstances, and your mining strategy. Now, here's my thinking. The E9 Pro gets you twice the hash rate for the same amount of money. That means in the end, twice as many coins in your wallet. Now, if your mining strategy is either to jump on brand new coins as and when they come out, or you have a power rate over 20 cents per kilowatt hour, or if you need to sell your mined coins every day to cover your power costs, the Jasminer is probably the better buy. But if you, like me, are using mining as a way to just stack as much coin as you possibly can to sell at a later date after a, hopefully, massive coin price increase, then the E9 Pro is kind of the clear winner. One thing I want to mention here too is that both of these miners work on unmineable, meaning you can get your full mining profits from them paid out in any of the like 80 plus different coins that unmineable offers. And if you do, you can add hashtag #𝗬 to the end of your working name to get a reduced pool fee. Or if you don't like using unmineable, you can always just mine whatever coin is most profitable and then swap that into whatever coin you actually do want to hold. Point is, you're not locked into just the few coins that these things can mine. So if you are wanting to just build a big diverse crypto portfolio for the potentially upcoming crypto bull market next year, you can easily do so with these miners. And if that is what you do want to do, well, with the E9 Pro you could have twice the coins in your bag at the end when compared to the Jasminer. Of course, we could go into periods of lower profitability again, where perhaps the E9 Pro would be unprofitable for you while the Jasminer would stay profitable. But would those periods actually be long enough or unprofitable enough to be significant to the point where the Jasminer would actually beat the E9 Pro in the long run? Well, that's something we can't predict. Basically, to me, what it comes down to is that the Jasminer, I guess, is a safer bet. It'll stay profitable during way lower periods than the E9 Pro. But of course, we don't know that there will even be any more lower periods. Could be just all sideways or up from here. And if you're willing to bet on crypto in the long term, like I am, then for roughly the same price, the E9 Pro could have you holding twice as many coins at the end. So quick reminder that if you are wanting to get one of these miners, use code 𝗬𝗜𝗍 before it expires on Sunday this week to get $250 off at Coin Mining Central. Link will be down in the video description. Over here on the screen, I'll put my video guide for how anyone can set up a full-size ASIC miner like the E9 Pro at home without any power, heat, or noise issues. Below that, I'll also put my recent video on why I'm able to stay optimistic about crypto mining and what my long-term outlook on mining is. So, I'll see you there. Thank you so much for watching.